Welcome all. A very good afternoon to you all. Let me introduce about our speaker today, CA Atul Gupta. He is a famous person called as a technology expert among the CA community. He has a rich and vast experience of more than 20 years. He is DISA from first of batch, that is December 2001. He has conducted many trainings to ICI, DISA, and aspiring students for the CAs. He is also author for Module 6, that is Business Application Software Audit of DISA 2.0, which is in the year of 2014 course. He is also part of the team that has revised the guidance note on bank audit, that is edition 2005. And there are many more achievements which I can or I would like to share, but with the constant of time frame, I would move on with the introduction of today's session. So today's session is about how to use the audit. जैसा हम सब जानते हैं, इंडिया में टैली इज द वेरी वेल नोन एंड कॉमनली यूज्ड एप्लीकेशन फॉर अकाउंटिंग, इन्वेंट्री एंड स्टैट्यूटरी पार्ट. और मोस्टली सारे क्लाइंट्स अपना डेटा अपने चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट को भेज देते हैं एंड दे यूज टू लुक एट द डेटा और उन्हें आइडेंटिफाई करना होता है ऑडिट के पर्पज से, चाहे वो टैक्स ऑडिट हो, स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट हो, या किसी और पर्पज से उन्हें ये डेटा एनालिसिस करना है या कुछ आइडेंटिफाई करना है जो डेटा में प्रॉपर नहीं है या विच आर नॉट इन प्रॉपर शेप. दैट विल बी अ डिफिकल्ट एक्सरसाइज. उसका कारण है कि हम एज ए चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट टैली को ऑडिट टूल की तरह नहीं देखते हैं. हम उसे एज ए कॉमन यूजर, एज ए टैली अकाउंटिंग एप्लीकेशन की तरह ही देखते हैं. और जो टैली के कॉमन फीचर्स हैं जैसे F12 या फिल्टर, इस तरह के कुछ ऑप्शंस या वर्कअराउंड को यूज करके हम डेटा को एनालिसिस करने की कोशिश करते हैं, विच इज़ डेफिनेटली ए टाइम कंज्यूमिंग. और हर बार जरूरी नहीं होता कि हमें उतना टाइम मिले या उतना समय मिले कि हम ये सारी चीज़ें हर एक डेटा पे, हर एक टैली के डेटा पे कर सकें. तो आज का ये जो सेशन है बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है बिकॉज CA अतुल गुप्ता इज गोइंग टू एक्सप्लेन अस एंड शो अस कि टैली को एक CA ऑडिटर की तरह आप कैसे देखेंगे और वो कौन से ऐसे कमांड्स या फीचर्स हैं या ऐसे टूल्स हैं जिनको यूज़ करके आप अपने टाइम को सेव कर सकते हैं, आप अपनी एफिशिएंसी बढ़ा सकते हैं और टैली के डेटा को सही तरीके से आप ऑडिट कर सकते हैं. So, sir, I am going to hand it over to you because people are eagerly waiting for your session and this is going to be very helpful to all of us today. सबसे एक रिक्वेस्ट है, ड्यूरिंग दिस सेशन यदि आप लोगों को क्वेश्चन है, आप कुछ पूछना चाहते हैं, जानना चाहते हैं, तो आपके जूम में आपको Q&A का एक ऑप्शन दिखता है, क्वेश्चन एंड आंसर का. आप उस ऑप्शन को यूज करें और आपके क्वेश्चन पोस्ट कीजिए. जहाँ भी जरूरी होगा टॉपिक से रिलेटेड यदि क्वेश्चन है तो हम कोशिश करेंगे वहीं आंसर करें. Otherwise, at the end of the session, we have a section of 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. We'll answer you thoroughly on all your questions. Atul sir, over to you.
Okay, good afternoon and welcome to all members of the profession. And I need to thank Tally for arranging this session. Deepak is virtually very close friend of mine. I know Deepak since last many years and I feel so proud to be associated working with Deepak. And then we have Komal sir and I'm not able to see the fourth participant from Tally itself. So I thank Tally itself for taking this effort and bringing this session for chartered accountants. We'll keep it absolutely practical, live, and kindly, Deepak has already told that you ask questions and post them in Q&A section. Kindly do it. One of the key features of all our sessions are I ensure they are lively, concurrent, and they need to be absolutely interactive. There will be absolutely no theory in the session. I'll be doing all things practically. Whatever I share from Tally itself, I will show you on a Tally company and Tally software, how you are going to actually do it. The focus of today's session is clear. We want to, as chartered accountant, I am also a CA, as Deepak has already informed you. As chartered accountants, audit is our key profession. And to me personally, most of us are SMPs, small medium practitioners, and most of our clients are SMEs, small medium enterprises, and 90% of all our clients use Tally. And post GST, I always used to talk like this, that which one of the companies which has made most out of GST is Tally. Now, because Tally has licensing per se has become mandate now, so Tally has made good. And in fact, over the period I know Tally, and we all know Tally since long, but since last 5 years, I have seen lot of very good changes being brought up in Tally itself, which are very good for us as auditors to use. So my basic idea of this session is interlinking a chartered accountant as auditor to the accounting software Tally that is used by most of our clients, me included as part of you only. So we are all chartered accountants sharing on the same platform, and the core is clear. We need to see how we can use Tally for our audit purposes. So I think we can start. Deepak will start with the presentation. Okay, so I'll
Sure,
share
sir.
my
Sure, sir.
screen. I like someone to ping that. Yeah, so I'll start sharing. Yeah, someone has to tell me the screen is
Yeah,
visible.
I'll
Deepak?
confirm. Yeah, yeah. Your screen
Okay,
is
so I'll
clearly visible.
start.
Yes.
So welcome to this session on tax audit through Tally. Keep me posted. Don't worry about anything. Ask n number of questions as you feel like. We'll have it absolutely practical. No theory to these sessions. And in fact, we know how to go about all this. So let us start. A standard disclaimer, Tally, Tally symbol and CS symbol both are coming. So this is part of all my presentations. Now, see, the core of today's discussion is clear. What we're basically looking at, how we all chartered accountants need to view Tally from an auditor's perspective. Today, all CAs, me included, you included, we all have Tally in our office, and Tally has this auditor version available at 80% discount to all chartered accountants. We have been using Tally, licensed Tally since last virtually more than 10 years. Deepak knows me very well on that. So because we are using Tally in our own office as chartered accountants, as auditors, so our premise is clear. We need to see how that we can use as a audit version, how we can do audit through use of the software itself. So we all understand the focus is clear. We want to do audit through use of the accounting software. So let us take one by one. Then this idea is also clear that, see, whatever we do, we always have this concept of seeking corroborative evidences. So using Tally as an audit tool is one part. And then as a auditor, you will have other ways of gathering audit evidences. So they need to corroborate, they need to be brought together. But using a software will help you do it fast, effective, and economic way of evaluating the client's data. This is exactly the focus of today's session, how you can increase effectiveness, efficiency, and economy through use of Tally, and how we can create better output through use of the same accounting system. In fact, my association with the institute, and to which I'm very thankful. So I've been taking a lot of sessions on bank audits also, and technology-driven systems audit for bank. So this year, when I took that session, I told all our members that we need to do bank audit, but we need to do the same in remote manner. So in fact, Tally already has that feature. We used to use that feature of remote accounting and auditing in Tally. So in COVID Corona also, you can be in your office, be at your home. Many of us are working from home. I myself working from home. So from my home, I can go audit my clients. So how all this we can do, how we can add more effectiveness, economy to our audit. Now, this is so I'll request Jay Jain, if you could just post in QA. You have raised hand, Jay. So please post your query in question and answer. Yeah. Then, as clients have started keeping their books on accounting system, so we all need to be aware about how technology is moving. And in fact, this section I always like to refer to, Section 7A from the Information Technology Act, because we chartered accountants generally only understand income tax. So I use that quiz for all of us. I mean Information Technology Act. Now in Section 7A of the Information Technology Act, it talks about the concept of e-audit. So 4 sections before 7A are 4 is e-form, e-signatures, e-filing, e-storage, and now 7A section has been brought in 2008 about e-audit. So the law has already been upgraded to enable technology-driven audit. So someday you will have rules, regulations, forms, formats for how chartered accountants or how any auditor is going to audit any client's books through a electronic mode. That is basically what we are seeking as an online audit, how we are going to use it. So we'll do practically understanding that we all come from same profession. So I'll request all to put your, those who have raised hands, please put your questions in Q&A, so that after this practical session, I'll refer to Q&A and answer your questions. Okay. So let us start with a common base. See what we'll be doing. We'll be doing practically. So those who are using, those who are in office with their laptops, I'll request you to open your Tally, do it parallelly. There are very good things that we need to learn that we are going to do practically. So let us take the first part of it, coming on the same base, so that we discuss from this base. Okay. So getting on the same base, let me, I'll just stop share this screen. I want to do Tally practically with you. So I'll go back to that and then I'll open my Tally and share that with you. So this is the, yeah, I need to share screen, sorry. Let me share the screen. Yeah. So this is my Tally, yeah. So screen is visible. Someone is going to say yes.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, thank you. Now see what we are basically looking at whenever we use Tally. So in that Tally, there are few basic features we need to enable, create. Okay, so that is available. I am just sharing that. So I go to company info. When you then go to alter. So this is the screen you get when you create a company in Tally. So whenever you create a company in Tally, you get this screen. What I want you to, or what we all need to do, ensure that the security control is yes. I've given a password. And this Tally audit feature also has to be kept on yes. So this we need to keep on yes. That is the first thing you do in all Tally, including the Tally that is being used by your client. So always ask your client that the client needs to ensure that the security control features are enabled as yes. So what is the implication? As we go ahead, I'll be sharing that. So what the first thing we have done, we have ensured we have created the basic Tally capability of Tally audit. I'll be sharing how you are going to do a remote audit also. There are two ways now to get it done. So through this, we can do the remote audit also. Yeah. So here we were that we wanted to see how we can create, use the Tally, basic Tally capability of creating this auditor version. So that is simple, that you all know. Okay, so this I've shared. Now, next is very, very, very important. I have told you we are going to an interactive session. Now, before we start the session, I want you to tell me, I'll refer to your chat box and question and answer. Please tell me where we can specify the valuation method of inventory. I'm asking you a question where we can specify the valuation method of in Tally when we use Tally. The question appears simple, the answer is not. So if I ask the question, there has to be some background. I want you to post anywhere in question answer chat, whichever is more convenient to you. I'll read them, where you can see the valuation method for inventory, where you can define the inventory valuation method. I'll just wait for 15 seconds for your answers. Yeah. I need those answers. I think someone is given. Inventory master, in stock items, inventory settings are great. Now see, I wanted all of us to do this mistake. Okay, now let me do with you. We'll create a company, see what happens. Okay, Narenji, please post your answers. I'll read stock summary. Great. So let us do. I told you we'll have a practical session, no discussions. Let us go to Tally and see in profit and loss account, stock item, inventory master. Great. So let us see where we can do it. Okay. So is my Tally screen visible?
Not now, sir.
No. Okay. I'll do it again. Yeah. No issues. It's here. Thank you. So now this is my Tally screen. So let us see what you have said, whether it is correct or not. So I'm going to inventory info. I'm going as you told me. Okay. So let us see. So I'm now, see if you can see my screen, I'll create some item of inventory. This company deals in computer systems. So let us go about a hard disk, 128 GB. So it is under a category, primary. Yes. So primary category, number of units. Yes. Rate of duty. Nowhere valuation method is there. Okay. So I did it the way you did. See, there are basic ideas why I'm sharing like this. Now see, when I want to specify valuation method in inventory, this is one of the items I put a lot of emphasis. As we discuss, I'll be telling you that also. See, before you can specify method of valuation, you have to press F12 on gateway of Tally, go to accounts and inventory info. In inventory info, there is an option of allow advanced entries in masters. See, by default setting in Tally is no. This has to be made yes. Only when you make it yes, while you create inventory, it will allow you to specify the valuation methods. Let us do it. And then I'll tell you the implication of this also. So now I have made that option as yes. Now again, let us go and create a stock item. So let us create a stock item and see what difference is there. Now see, without going ahead, you can all see that now it is allowing me to create a valuation method. Say rate of duty is 18%. You have to give units, yes. Now it is asking me, I have to specify the method of valuation. This is very, very important. In Tally, you can specify 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 methods. Of these 7 and 8 methods, there are few methods which are in compliance with our accounting standard 2 valuation of inventory, and there are few which are not compliant with. We as auditors need to be very sure that the method selected here is as per our accounting standard AS2. Now the risk is, see, many of you are doing stock audits. We are also doing stock audits. So in our stock audit reports, we have started giving a disclaimer that because see what may happen, the valuation method may be selected by entity at the time of stock audit that suits the auditor. Later on, it may be modified or changed. So that risk is there. So we as auditor need to be aware about that, how the valuation method has been selected and created. And in fact, the larger risk is that suppose I have used a method of valuation that is true, correct, as per my business. And while I send data to my auditor, and before I send the data, I make allow advance entries in master as an option no, then by itself, the auditor will not be able to see the method of valuation. Of course, there are ways of looking at, but on the face of it, you'll not be able to define. Backend calculation will be like that. So that risk is huge that we all need to cater to. Okay. So now the impact of this. So this has impact on valuation, the application of accounting policies and accounting standards. Suppose I am the auditor and I come to know that the entity has not selected the method that is as per accounting standard 2. That is not a single non-compliance. We all understand that if the selection of the method by entity is not as per AS2, it creates a larger audit risk for the auditor. It's an accounting software. It will give you ways of doing things. Our concern as auditors is whether that way of doing things is correct or not. So that aspect is what we are looking at. So that is first that I wanted to share. The second aspect on inventories. Okay, so my PPT I have brought.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Then compliance issues with accounting standards, the use, misuse I have shared. Now, so stock AS2, the feature can be hidden that I have told you. This we have done live. Then I want you to tell, from Tally you can find age of inventory also. So there are in command, there is a command in Tally that allows you to find age of inventory, whether beyond 90 days, 120 days. This age of inventory, aging analysis, I've taken a screenshot. So this aging analysis can be used for valuation, whether the valuation is proper or not, whether it's a outdated inventory or absolute inventory. So the valuation has to be reduced. So from accounting system itself, you can identify the aging analysis for the item which has been used by the entity. So that is again very important. You can get the age analysis from the inventory itself, the aging details. Yes, the aging period. So these columns can be defined in Tally. So based on the reporting requirement, you can define the age of the inventory from what period to what period you want. Like for doing a stock audit, generally the client does not allow systems access to the stock auditors, but suppose you get an option of accessing client data directly on system, then you can say that you want at least 0 to 90 days, 90 to 180, 180 to 360, because generally stock auditors inventory beyond 90 days are not considered part of drawing power, or the margin could be higher as per the sanction by the bank. So this is how we as auditor need to evaluate. As a statutory auditor, as a tax auditor, my concern is that if inventory is beyond a specified period, then I need to be able to value it according to the damage or according to the outdated nature of inventory, however it may have come. Again, this is available in your system itself. Based on this, you create your disclosure. Based on this, you create your accounting disclosures. Now, this is very, very, very important. I am giving this option to you to answer. See, within Tally, when you go to Gateway of Tally configuration, there is an option of in voucher inventory configuration that you want a warning on negative stock. So there's an option you can create in Tally, whether you get a warning in negative stock or not. Okay, Rajeshji, I'll answer that. How to get option of inventory books aging analysis? I'll show you. Thank you. Can all items be checked together for costing method adopted? Yes, you can do it. So for all items, the nature of valuation that has been given, that can be selected, that can be filtered out. Great. Okay. So I'll add, once I do this inventory part, I'll answer your questions. Thanks for this. There is a chat message. There is one place also from where we can check valuation. Yes, Ajay ji, thank you. F7, but then F7 when you are creating profit and loss account. Now see, this is exactly, okay. So Ajay's answer gives me option of asking another question. I'll ask that question. So we all, see, we are all auditors. Today our perspective of Tally is not an accounting Tally as an auditor's Tally. So I'll ask many, many questions from audit profession per se. Let me complete this and then I'll come back to all your queries. They are absolutely fantastic. Keep them on. They help me understand the next level of discussion. Now, my question to you is that suppose this option in Tally gives an option. Say it's an accounting system. It's a tool. Now, how does entity uses the tool? That is what auditor has to see. Within Tally, there is an option that whenever you are doing a consumption or a sale of inventory and the items inventory level goes below 0, negative, then you can create an option of giving a warning, yes or no. So when you create the sales voucher or a consumption voucher or a manufacturing journal and issue some item from stock, if the item's inventory goes below 0, you can ask your accounting system to give a warning. So Tally will say the item is going negative. Do you want to proceed? Say yes or no. Now, before we go ahead, because we all understand the term of control, so I want you to tell that this warning that is given by Tally, is it preventive, detective, or corrective? I think we have all learned preventive, detective, and Correct. When during course of my DSAT discussions, I talk a lot on that, and all people know. So I want you to tell me that whenever Tally gives you a warning that the stock item is going negative, is the control preventive, detective, or corrective? You can say PDC if you don't want to type lot. I'm just taking the chat. So so preventive and detective, absolutely correct, and corrective. Thank you. So this tells me where I need to go about. Okay, so this tells the error that happens when we do audit. Now see, Tally is a tool. It has a feature. It tells you the stock item is going to be negative if you process this voucher. It could be manufacturing journal or a stock issue or a consumption, whatever it is, or a sale transaction. Tally giving warning is preventive. Tally giving warning is preventive. You know what is the trouble with accountants? The trouble with accountants are there is a command in Tally Control A that saves the voucher. So accountant does not listen to it. It is giving a warning, but the accountant is not listening to it. So a preventive control that is part of the system is not being adhered to. Now the question to you. The control is there in Tally. The entity for whom you are doing audit, the entity has not enabled this feature. The feature is no. No means no warning shall be given, even if the stock item goes below zero. Now the important question, I am the auditor. I'll be doing tax audit this season, probably online. 90% of all tax audits that you and me do are for clients using Tally, and 100% I think today the tax audit is done. Tally mails you the Tally data that you open at your end. Now the Tally data, yes, Tally data needs to have this option as yes, but the option is no. Now the question to all of us as chartered accountant, as auditor, if the option is no, kindly answer this. Does this affect my audit procedure? I am asking you. I am keeping this question tough. If the answer is no, does it affect my audit procedure? You have to say yes or no. I am keeping all your questions. Okay. So Rajesh ji, I have read all the questions. I'll be answering this in course of the discussion itself. Okay. Sneh, kindly post. Yeah. Yes. So now, because many of you have said yes, the next question. So auditor, he or she has to change the audit procedure. Yes, affecting. Great. Now the next. What part of audit procedure is affected? I can see we all have read standard on auditing so well and we all remember it. And now we are going to do the audit based on that. So what part of my audit procedure is affected? So I have accepted the answer. If the option is no, it affects my audit procedure. Now you have to say to me, what part of my audit procedure is affected if the option is no. I want to take you to a level. I'm taking to a level of the intensity of checking that we all need to do as auditors. Invoicing with it. Okay. Venantius. Am I pronouncing you correctly? Venantius, or is it a different name than your real name? Sorry for this. But okay, see, I want you to answer in terms of the auditor's procedures. What procedures, auditor's procedures will be affected? Fantastic, Kasturiji. Compliance procedure. Which risk of auditor goes up? The control risk goes up because a desired control has not been put in place, and because the control is not been put in place, this raises the control risk. And now because the controls are not there, auditor has to do a larger sample size, a larger audit. Because the control risk is high, auditor has to bring a larger sample to audit. KPN, I couldn't get Narenji, if you could elaborate on that. So it raises my control risk. Now, See, I'll not leave it here. I'll take you to the last part. If this is no, does this bring some red light on reporting aspect? Does this bring some red light on report? So where do you started? I asked, does it affect audit procedure? You said yes, absolutely correct. What audit procedure? Many of you have said correctly, internal control procedure. Now the third question is, does this affect my audit report format? Okay, so you are saying yes. Which part of report? Rohit. So which part of report? So that intensity I want to bring to very simple aspects that are there in system. Yes, the part of the report can relate to, for a corporate entity, IFC, internal financial control. I think few people have answered that. Caro, Nikhil, thank you. Internal financial control. Then I want you to tell which auditing standard is going to take the most hit. Internal control system, fantastic. Which auditing standard we, IFCR, okay, internal financial control report. Thank you, Narenji. Which auditing standard you are referring to? We have all read and we all remember it, you know, so please tell me the name of the auditing standard I am referring to. Auditing standard, AS2 is accounting standard. Auditing standard, understand, see the level you are. SA 315, fantastic, 330, 700, and SA 260 and 265. Communicating with those charged with governance, 260, and communicating internal control deficiencies to those charged with governance. Dineshji, thank you. See a simple point from Tally and look at the way you have audited it. So this intensity I want all of us to have while we audit this year. I'll tell you the reason for this. See what is high. See, have I made this point clear? Have we been able to link from the source to its object? The whole issue is clear. If anything is unclear, please ask, because then I'll go to the next level of discussion. Why this intensity I have brought? See, this intensity is needed. It was always needed. This year, it is more critical because this year, most of us are going to do audit online. Probably we are not going to visit our client, and in fact inventory taking, stock taking is a issue that is already long gone. Bank audits, there was no physical bank audit done. Good, good. Neeraj has put a very good point that I need to bring here. What Neeraj has said, that it's a warning only, yes or no? No, Neeraj, good. If it is set at yes, then within SA3, 315 and 330, it reduces my inherent risk, because setting it yes is a reflection of good controls on the part of management. First. Second, if it is set as yes, we know that it is yes, then the roles, responsibility, accountability is more clearly established. When we started the session, I told you Tally audit. So I'll tell you that if it is yes here, and through that Tally audit, you can always pinpoint the person, because whatever error or frauds are there, they'll be people driven or system driven. So if it is yes, the error will become people driven. You can get hold of someone. But if it is no, the error will become system driven. The risk will be at a higher level. But it's a very good point, Neeraj, that you have brought. Very good. Thank you. So see, at this level, we are all going to talk about this. So simple thing, look at the implication, the way it affects we as auditors, our audit procedures, and finally our reporting requirement. That is. To warn or not. So now it is red colored. So warning has to be yes. Negative stock. So once you said that at yes, whenever you now see this whole idea that it's giving a warning. In fact, we have Tally people, they will tell you that now you can get specialized added attachments, they call as TDL, where you can restrict this also. So these options have now been created because the element of risk has increased. It warns once the negative balance is negative. The above feature is not, if not enabled, poor internal control. Auditor needs to make a comment on internal control for the company. SA 265, I already talked to you, communicating with those charged with governance about deficiencies in internal control. And now the new CARO is there. It has again emphasized the point of internal control regarding inventory. And there are some very exceptional points been added to the new CARO. Today's session is not for that, but then the implications regarding control aspect to all those points is also very high. So that is how you look at. In fact, one of the points that has been brought in CARO regarding stock is the data that your auditor has to say that the company is submitting the same data to the bank as available in its accounting system. So it's having huge implications for all of us. Good. So Neeraj, you answered your question by your own self. So if one control is not there, you have to look for other. That is the point that I am making. Thank you. Okay. So communicating with those charged with governance. Thank you, Neeraj. Okay. So you need to create documentation. Then this is one part regarding inventory. We'll be talking more on this. Okay, so because Muskan has asked how you enable, so I'll just do it live. Because I've already told you our session will be absolutely live. So let us do live. I'll open my Tally, share my Tally with you. Yeah. Is it visible? Tally is visible to all. Someone say yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So on Gateway of Tally, go to configuration FFIL, go to voucher entry. Here it is. You get it? I'll just like queries to say yes. Rajesh, a very good query. I'll answer that. Keep it pending. I want to answer this. Okay. So everyone gets that? If the querist, he or she can say yes. Thank you. So here you do. So on Gateway of Tally, configuration, within configuration, you have to go to voucher entry. Within voucher entry, you have this one on stock balance. The option I have already enabled is yes. Yes, yes, yes. We'll do that, Rohit. Thank you. That is a corroborative control. So what Rohit has said is that suppose this feature is set at no, then auditor can do a check negatively. I'll be talking about, there is a very good case study on exceptions. I'll be sharing that with you. It's part of our discussion. Okay. So see, this is how you create it. This is how you start using it. Okay. Now, so this was one part regarding stock. Before we go to the next session, because next session will be too much on about Tally itself. There is another option there. If you could have read that. Okay, let me bring it. Let me bring live. So let me put a query to you. F12 voucher entry. Yeah. If you see to the left side of the screen, there is an option of one on negative cash balance. It is set at yes. By default setting is no. Now you tell me, suppose this option was no itself. Now the question to you. Stock, we have done a thorough process from the issue to its reporting part. If this option is kept at no, what implications do we see? We have already seen implication on controls, implication on report. Do you see some implication for the entity itself in terms of if this is set at no? Again, it's a preventive control to set it yes. Suppose this is set at no. Let me bring the case to you to help you answer it more thoroughly. See, to all our clients today, there is one requirement that is there. I'll just do this part in Hindi with your permission. All our clients require, they have one vacancy. The vacancy is what? एक अच्छा अकाउंटेंट. हमारे सब क्लाइंट के यहाँ पर एक अच्छे अकाउंटेंट की जरूरत है. No one knows what a अच्छा accountant is there. No one knows what is the definition of the अच्छा accountant, but they all need a अच्छा accountant. So what is the point? The point is that what is happening? What happens? Suppose the accounting year you're talking about is ending on 31st March 2019. The assessment is being done now, this year. The accountant who did the accounting is already gone. He got a new job. GST has made a surplus job requirement for good accountants. So he is gone. Now there is a new accountant who is going to get the assessment done. And because the new accountant is very angry with whatever accounting the previous accountant has done, and he has a complaint that he did the accounting and now I have to get the assessment done. So new accountant takes no care. In Tally, there is a concept of warning on negative cash, but the new accountant is not worried. There is a notice by department, income tax department, to produce books of accounts. So what the new accountant does, without even going through exception ledgers, I'll show because someone had referred to that. He prints the cash book having negative cash balances, and submits it to the assessing officer. Now you have this opaque assessment that is going to have a huge implication on the practice itself. Beyond that, so that cash book with negative cash balance is made available to the assessing officer. You all are in tax practice. Me personally is not a tax practitioner. Please tell me what implications that negative cash balance cash book will have to the assessee. Internal control poor, we have accepted that. Poor management issues, we have accepted that. That negative cash balance cash book presented to the AO by the accountant, what implication it will have for the entity? Very good. Accounts cannot be relied. Yes, Narayananji has said it correctly. Negative cash balance is liable to be taxed. Yes. I think the section is 69C. Unexplained expenditure. My cash book is saying I had negative 500 rupees. That means that I must have earned. The AO will say, okay, let me add this to income, because your cash book is saying that you expended so much of money. See, this exactly is the risk. Imagine the impact of such simple things and the risk associated with all these things. That is the implication of being very sure of how controls are and how controls have been put in place in system itself. So we need to be very, very sure how controls are working there. So that aspect need to be clear. That was this negative cash balance. Now, because we have taken two cases and there are a lot of queries. So with permission of Deepak, I'll just Deepak take the queries so that the next session is at a different level. Let us answer all these queries and then we'll go to the next session.
Sure, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I'm stop sharing and then I'm going to your queries so that we answer the queries and then we'll go ahead. Okay. So Ami will have a different session on TCS. It will pass cash entry in spite of negative. Great. Inventory. So we have taken that. Then few I talked about, yeah. How to get option of inventory books aging. It's in the, okay. So let us do this one. Again, this will do live. So this I am doing, so this will answer many of your queries. On gateway of Tally, go to display. Here you have this exception reports. So this Rohit did point that there is a way of, if controls are not proper, auditor can view this. Yes, you can view this. You as auditor need to go to negative stock, negative ledgers. Now I want to share a case with you why we as auditors need to be, see, this is what we call technically as ledger not in its correct domain. So for example, debtors domain is debit. So debtors with credit balance, that will be negative ledger. Stocks domain is positive. A negative stock will be negative stock, so part of exception. A creditor's domain is credit, and a creditor having a debit balance will have a negative stock, negative ledger. These are exception reports. I am sharing a very good case with you to understand why we need to put ourselves into this whole idea about exception reports. Deepak has put a very good query. What if client activating one function when sharing the tally? Any way to check on this? Deepak, this is good. So in fact, this tells you that if I say essay, I think probably 580 on management representation letter. So we need to take a specific declaration from the client that specific declaration from the client that all like valuation of inventory. So you take a declaration as management representation that valuation of inventory was taken at applicable methodology defined in AS2. Now, Rajeshji, your question will be answered in the case that I am taking just now. Why we need to put ourselves in negative ledger? See, we all have been doing bank audit, statutory bank branch audit. I'm sharing a very live case that came about some years back in a bank branch audit. What the branch auditor did, with the permission of the bank manager, branch auditor imported the trial balance of the bank branch in Excel. So the trial balance of the bank branch was imported into Excel. Once that trial balance was imported in Excel, what the auditor did, he applied the domain rules. Now, what is the domain rule on balances? I'm just taking this example. Like in the bank's book, advances ledgers will have debit balance. So conditional formatting, simple, we can all do. So what that auditor did, he did this simple rules that advances must always have a debit balance. When he applied those conditional formatting and those domain rules were applied to the balances, a term loan account in the bank books was appearing as credit. Term loan in bank books appearing as credit, appeared as red colored letters. So immediately it was referred to the branch manager. The auditor told the branch manager, see, this advances ledger cannot be credit. It is not in the correct domain. It's a negative ledger. Initially, branch manager could also not understand how it is happening. But then after some 10-15 minutes, he realized the issue. Now, so the issue is absolute learning. We all are bank branch auditors also. And then this case will link to this negative ledgers. So what branch manager told, sir, we have a problem in our system. What is the problem? The problem in our system is that whenever an account becomes NPA, non-performing. So as we all know that any account that becomes NPA, there are three implications. First implication is you reverse unrealized income. Second implication is now no new income will be booked. And third implication is based on the IRA, Reserve Bank income recognition asset classification norm, you classify the advance and make the appropriate provision. So three implications. So the branch manager is now answering the statutory auditor. Branch manager told the statutory auditor, sir, there is a problem in our system. What happens whenever we mark an account as an NPA, the system does not stop charging interest. It's a problem. Now see, we all do bank audits. So like we are talking through Tally platform, but keeping it within home. So whenever we meet after bank audit, of course, COVID, Corona, there is no branch meeting, there is no CP seminar, there is no get together. So whenever we meet after branch audit, and then we talk to each other, how was the bank branch audit? So again, with permission saying this in Hindi, so we ask each other, कैसा रहा bank branch audit? तो पता है the parameter for all of us doing a good bank branch audit, good or bad, would be kitne ki MOC bani, how much value MOC you created. So someone says I created 10 crore rupee MOC. It's like fantastic. So what was happening in the bank branch? Because when an account was classified as NPA, it was not, the system was not stopping charging interest. So bank auditor had to, now this change cannot be done. So it has to be done through an MOC. So bank branch auditors were so happy in the branch because the MOC value will be very huge and all those reversals have to be done. A performance parameter for auditor is a non-performance parameter for the bank manager. See, all the bank managers of the respective bank will be meeting somewhere and they will be talking to each other, and then one will be talking to another branch manager. Kaisa raha audit? So then the branch manager will say, "Arey, itne ki MOC ban gayi," with lot of sadness to his or her face. So this is a problem. So the branch manager is telling the auditor, see what we did. Now this is very important. The branch manager told the auditor, see, whenever an account became NPA, we have maintained a manual register. We note that this account is NPA, say on 1st of October. Then what they do? In system, they pass a JV, transferring the advance balance to sundries. Please understand what I am sharing. Transferring the advance balances to sundries. Everyone is happy. Happy means now because the balance does not exist in advance, no interest will be charged. Now because no interest will be charged post classifying NPA, no MOC will be generated. No MOC is generated. Auditors are sad, but branch manager is happy. The trouble was in the ledger that auditor identified a term loan account with a credit balance in the bank book. There was a recovery made after classification of NPA. Because there was no balance in the advances head of the term loan, it appeared as credit balance. You know the implication of this? Let me put this question to you. Just imagine, had that account been a cash credit loan account, just imagine a 10 crore rupee cash credit loan account. I generally share this example in bank audit also, but because negative ledgers have come here, I'm sharing here also. Suppose the cash credit ledger was turning NPA, cash credit loan was turning NPA, and it was transferred to sundries. You know the implication. The implication is it will mean an additional 10 crore cash credit has been sanctioned. That impact. So we as auditors, Rohit did point to this aspect. Exactly, very good. We as auditor need to have more than one audit procedures to corroborate any issue that is brought forward. That is corroborative procedures. And here that corroborative procedure is that you need to review the negative ledgers from the books that have been brought to you. So very, very, very important. Yes, that is why I brought that case here. That exception report, the heading to out to this is exception. Pradeep ji, thank you. Okay, so those exceptions reports are very critical for all of us to talk about. Okay. So good. So now coming to this auditors tool, which have been provided in Tally, they've added a lot of good features. Again, we'll do this practically. Okay. Let me just run through the queries that we have gone through. These questions we have taken, anything that is left out. Okay, there are few additional things that is being talked about, but I'll try to answer if I have time. Post-dated memorandum. In fact, this in NPA accounts, bank charge memorandum interest. So it is only calculated, not debited or credited to income or the outstanding ledgers. Okay. Audit tool. So Tally has brought these audit tools. I'll show you live. This is the basics of that. So we'll take this slide. So I'm now bringing this again through Tally itself. So I'm on Gateway of Tally here. Here it is, audit and compliance. These are absolutely fantastic. Take your time. Audit documentation, audit analysis, audit journals, financial statements. So I'll just do it bottom up, starting from the bottom and going up. So you have balance sheet. You can get the balance sheet in the specified format, P&L, and other details, the way you want to add the schedules to them. Then audit journals means whatever queries, the status, what audit note you had, year-end audit, based on audit queries, some transactions have been passed, those. And this is the best part that Tally has brought. I think I have a good clap for Tally on this, audit and analysis. Just keep an eye on it. Okay. Verification of chart of, yeah, I'll just read them. We'll not be able to do all of them. Verification of stock, balances, analytical procedures, pending documents, statutory payment, periodic payment and receipt, repeated transactions. In fact, we'll have, the last part of the session will be fraud identification or indication of frauds through Tally. I'll be taking separate cases on them. Okay. So I've been asked how I reached here. So from gateway of Tally, go to audit and compliance. From audit and compliance, there's financial statement on the new formats, schedules, then audit journals, that is year-end entries passed, then audit analysis. I'm here. So that is how I reached here. Then verification of chart of accounts, stock items, balances, analytical procedures, pending documents, statutory payments, periodic payments and receipts, repeated transaction. Then at the end of the session, I'll take two cases regarding how through use of Tally. Yeah, they do provide. Kathari, you can get it. The end of the session will have this relative size factor, and this very good word that it was part of our syllabus, Benford analysis. CA final audit, we studied Benford analysis. These are two good fraud indicative tools. So I'll be doing very good case on that. So let us do it one by one. I'll just show you. Okay. So whatever I show, I'll ask a question. Accounts squared off during the year. Anything that you get very specific from tax audit, it is there in system. Okay. Tax audit. So what thing it takes you to tax audit? Okay, there are few queries. I'll request Deepak, if you can come answer these two queries, because then they are restricting our members. Deepak, can you answer the queries put by M. Ramji and Mamtaji?
Yeah, let me check, sir.
Question and answer.
When we get into audit and compliance, it is asking for password.
Miss, let me ask the most tough question. Are these, I understand we are all using license Tally. Good. And we have given these answers. Very good. Sanskriti, Kasturi ji, Anil, Narayan ji. 269 SS&T. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Jagdish and Brijesh. You are using license Tally. So this is an issue. So if it is a licensing issue, Ramji and Mamtaji, you can directly talk to Tally people. I'll leave my number at the end of the session. I'll give you, if you can ping me, I'll give you the Tally people's details to talk to. Okay.
I will also post my contact details, so you can raise your query.
So Deepak will post, and then you can directly get in touch with Deepak. So we have two more chat queries. Yes, great. Down. So see, this detail is available here. I have a phenomenal case on that, not used. Some years back, we are doing a lot of this internal audit for audit, this auto dealers. So all auto dealers, you know, they use something called as a DMS, dealer management system. So we were doing it for a four-wheeler auto dealer some 7-8 years back. I went to see the way they work. So when we started our internal audit, I realized that their tally is slightly slow. So you ask for a report, it takes a reasonable bit of time and generate a report. Then I try to understand the process. I found that what was happening. Suppose I am a Maruti dealer. So what Maruti company does, it gives me a dealer management system. All my billing is through my dealer management system. That auto dealer, what it had done, it had created an interface between tally and dealer management system. So whatever entries were done in DMS, the dealer management system, at the end of the day, they were auto populated in the tally itself. So no basic entries were auto populated through interface between dealer management system and tally. When I realized that, when I tried to understand why it is not working, so what I found, let's see what happens of an Indian going to buy a four-wheeler. So next time he will buy a four-wheeler only 5 years, 6 years back. So you buy a four-wheeler and then wait for next 5, 6 years to get a new one. In Tally, there is a concept of data split. So when you split data in Tally, say 31st March and 1st April. So what Tally does, at the end of 31st March, it splits the transaction. The master remains the same. So all transaction ending on 31st March 12 in night are in one tally, and 1st April they go to other tally. The masters remain the same. So I realized that what is happening, because this interface of dealer management system and no housekeeping being done in tally, there are a lot of not necessary, not used ledgers in that tally. So I was sitting with the MD of the company presenting our first report, and I told MD that, see, your tally is working slow because these are not necessary ledgers. And if I ask a report from the accountant, he has to take a lot of time to generate that report. So MD threw a question on me in Hindi. Kitne ledger hai? How many are there? So I had not actually calculated that time, but then I had some indication. So I said 35,000. 35,000. MD jumped over his seat. How it is not possible? What you are talking about? Check karate hain. Let us get it checked. You know, we got it checked, and when we got it checked, there were 1,10,000 such ledgers. 1,10,000 not used ledgers. It is hitting the efficiency like hell. That you can take directly. First. Second, if a ledger is not used, so either you delete it, it is not needed, it is hitting your efficiency. So that report is there. Next one, only balances, no transaction. Means only opening or balance, either credit or debit. Again, risk, no movement, slow moving, non-moving inventory. This all banking frauds and lot of frauds we have read. The source was, one of these was, these are dormant accounts. These are dormant accounts. Only balances, no transactions. Then next one, used only in the current year. Somehow I go to bank audit, Pradeep ji, sorry for this, but in bank also, if a bank audit system, if a ledger is opened in the year and it is squared off in the same year, there's a separate report in bank systems. That report is now in Tally, because these are the ledgers which are indicative of a possible fraud. It is there, so you can always vouch for. I'll press, then you'll get a list of ledgers that I'll just press, so you get all the list. These are used only in the current year. Then verification of stock items, we have actually done this. Negative stock, I've already shared. And those stocks which are only used in current year. So you can get these reports, do your analysis based on these reports. Balances, verification, opening, closing balances, if they have been properly incorporated or not. And this is best. I'll show you analytical procedures. So what we are doing, what we will do, we'll make a comparison ratio analysis from a group to a ledger. Let us see. Ajay ji, yes. Probably you cannot prepare it all the details automatically, but yes, you can generate a report, export in Excel and use it with some modifications. But as I understand now, more than 90% of that data you can generate from Tally. That is for sure. So we are doing analytical. See how it works now. So what I'll be doing, I'll be comparing my sales to an expenditure. Yeah, here is my sales. So sales to, let me compare this to, say, my conveyance expense. Let us see how it works. So this is the period. So it is, had there be previous year data, I could have, so all my comparative analysis, analytical procedures, ratios I can directly generate from system itself. Nothing to do, directly from system itself. So, okay, Deepak will answer Rohit. Thank you. Then pending documentations. Net pending receive means opening receivables, outstandings, statutory payments, their documentation. Yes, periodic payments. Periodic means like, I'll show with an example. Let us go to indirect expenses. Yeah. So is my conveyance a periodic payment, or say electricity is periodic? So let us define it as periodic. So I'm defining electricity as a periodic ledger. I've defined it. So it's periodic means it will ensure that whether 12 entries are there or not in that, like that. Repeated transaction, just look at this. So I've made 8,000 payments for repair and maintenance 25 times during the year. So this tells you virtually all aspects of what we call as analytical procedures, substantive procedures, all is available here. Then relative size factor, we want to do through a case. I'll come to that. I'll just show you when I do that fraud identification issues in Tally, we'll take RSF, other analysis. So you can bank-to-bank transactions, cash withdrawals and deposits, bank-to-bank transactions, cash withdrawals and deposits, fixed asset analysis, deletion, adjustments, purchases, transactions on holidays. Just look at this. So let us say, try to scroll down, see whether we have done any transaction on 2nd of October, national holiday. There is no transaction, but there are transactions on Sunday. So nature of transaction means if a transaction is done on holiday, the auditor needs to make some extra effort to see whether, just look at this one, 3,50,000 share capital issued on Sunday. It's just not possible. Auditor needs to ask lot of questions. So transactions being done on Sundays. So this itself is a good report for auditor to review. There was a raise hand. If you could just put the query in chat. Highest and low value transactions. Just see this. Yeah, I mean, there's a process, there's an interface to be written. There are programmers. You can directly talk to Deepak is the best person. Put your details. Deepak will get in touch with you. Yes, Anilji, you can generate reports in the format you have said. Okay, so highest, just look at this. Highest and lowest. So that tells you the deviation, like this one. Basin system, the highest value transaction is 1,40,000 and lowest is 1,000. Auditor needs to, area of interest, how these transactions are being done. Yes, it is there. Benford will take it as a case itself. Pending advances. So opening advance not yet squared off during the year. Stale checks. So stale checks, basically their bank reconciliation, bank dates are not updated. So it is showing, it is now 356 days. So now it is stale, like that. Whether you want to call external confirmations, mark whether balance has been confirmed. See how much has been put. Whether account recos have been done, yes or no. What are the differences? Now on verification of vouchers, let us see. So 608 vouchers. These are the, so let us go to payments. And I have to press space bar. And now, so someone was asking about Benford analysis. Benford is a separate presentation. I'll do it for all of us. I've got a fantastic case on Benford. Okay. So Benford you can do. So imagine what you are looking at. See, SA530, sampling, everything you do through system. I think more than 9, if we have been able to, I'll request you to put some percentage of, if you are, if this session is very small in size, we need a much larger session, but because it must create some interest in your mind, what level of transactions you feel now you can do through, what percentage of audit you feel you can do through Tally itself. Just put that percentage. That will be like motivation to all people in Tally and to me also, like that. Now we'll go to the last part of today's discussion, that is fraud analysis through using these two features in Tally. One is this Benford analysis and other is RSF, relative size factor. So let me bring the PowerPoint. I've got a very good case to share with you, and then we learn through that. Okay. So because we are just taking a small break, so let me run through queries. Yeah, Rajit, your query will be answered by Deepak from Tally, and then let me look to chats. Yeah. How to set periodicity feature in expenses, Siddharth. Okay, so I'll just show you. It will be simple. You have to press spacebar and do it. Okay. Now, so we want to go to relative size factor. Okay. So we already had a lot of things to do. So I did talk to Deepak that this is going to be just like a very small, a very pocket size session for a huge topic. So in Tally, you can create your audit program also. So I'm not going to that. I want to share more, something very specific. These are also good. You can create annexures for Caro report. And now because Caro is updated, Tally will bring updates to that. You can create checklists for accounting standards. You can create audit working paper documentation. This you can directly use for your peer review. So once you create in system, you can directly generate printouts and keep them as a record. And in fact, this is going to help get your peer review done very well, because this will be a standard methodology of documentation. Analysis, we have talked about comparison of data, verification of opening balances, any variance, your standard on auditing on verification of opening balances need to be applied. Any pending documents which are yet to be verified. So those details you can put. Periodic payments, yes. So once you say yes, then whenever you go for vouching, it will see whether there are 12 vouchers available or not. See, it's there. If you can see the screenshot at the bottom. So advertising expenses, total vouchers 2. Go down rent, they have to be 12. So there are 12 vouchers. So the variance is not there, like that. Repeated transactions we have seen. I don't know so much to talk about, and your queries are actually good. They all need to be answered to. Another one important feature that I want to share beyond this transaction on holidays we have done. Okay. External confirmations, account reconciliations we have done. Sampling, I've shared Benford's law. Now we'll do Benford law and repeated size audit. So you can tag whether anything is pending. So you can create your audit documentation checklist. Verification done. Yes, audit is over, like that. Okay. So it is just not going to be that simple. This is very important. Now what Tally has allowed. Tally has allowed you browser access. So you can view Tally online. So I'll show you where you can create that, enable that feature. I'll show at the end. So last part will be that online browser access. Now, two fraud indicators in Tally. So we want to do it go live. So I'll just open Tally and I'll show you what we are looking for. Okay. Now, so I brought this. Now, what is RSF? See, that two very specific discussion for all of us auditors to see whether there are frauds indicator in the sample provided to you. Let us do it one by one. First is relative size factor. I'll press it, see what happens. Now, what exactly is relative size factor? So relative size factor is a ratio between the highest value transaction to a ledger and the second highest. I'll repeat myself. RFS is basically ratio between the highest value transaction and the second highest. So that ratio is 6.6. I'll press this, see what happens. Now, if you look at this, so virtually 7. If you look at this, this tells you that the business system, you had a sale of 1,40,000 and then the next highest sale is 21,200. Our professional skepticism, the eyes of the auditor need to open. That if RSF is beyond a range, let me bring the previous screen so you'll get the idea. See, for first 3 or 4, the RSF is 3, but after that it is generally 1. So 1 to 2 RSF will generally be allowed, but beyond 2, that means there is a huge gap between highest transaction value and the second highest. That is an indicator that you as auditor need to check these very, very well. That is first. Second is Benford analysis. So let us bring that, because someone amongst us did talk about Benford. Yes, it can be done. So we want to do, sorry, on payment. So I'll press, I get the sampling config, Benford analysis. Benford analysis for payments. Okay. Highest variance. So let us don't go into detail. I'll through a case, I'll let us the data come and I'll explain you how to interpret data. So through Benford analysis, it has generated out of 201, 35 vouchers have been generated to be vouched as per Benford analysis, and sample vouchers are given. Now this is phenomenal. You know what you are looking at. This is something that has huge, huge value. Let me share a case with you. The case is real. There are few things have been added or deducted, but it's a real case. Let me stop share this presentation, because this is till this point we wanted to do it through sharing. Then I got my PPT. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Are you able to see the graph?
Yes,
is the graph visible to all?
Visible, sir.
Yes. Okay. This is fantastic. Now see what Benford is. So Benford was some law created by someone, Mr. Benford, after the Second World War. Okay, Ninayat, I'll show you again once I complete this one. Okay. So after the World War II, he was a mathematician. During or after some period there, what he did, say for example, we all have our membership numbers. So you know your membership number, no need to share it publicly. So suppose my membership number is say 70,226, 70226. Now in this membership number, 7 is the highest numeric digit, and it's a coincidence that it carries the highest weightage also. It is at the 10,000th place. Another example, I cleared my DISA in the first batch in December 2001. So my DISA registration number is 786. Now what it means? It means that it was a 3-digit number. The highest numeric value is 8, but the significance of 8 is lower than 7, because 7 is at the 100th place. So what Benford law was that if you take an arbitrary unbiased set of large numbers, please listen what I am sharing. If you see arbitrary large set of unbiased number, the probability that the highest digit, highest means which has the largest weight is 1, is 30%. Mr. Benford used crores of data to come to this conclusion. This laws is not challenged on the basic facts. This law has been challenged based on the nature of sample. So if my sample, like some years back, my all mobile numbers used to start with 9. So to that sample, this law will not apply, because in the government policy then it was mandated that mobile numbers will start with 9. So this law will, but for an arbitrary set of any number, Benford law is applicable. What is the law? You take any numeric number, the chances that it starts with 1 is 30%. That is Benford's law. Now, that Benford law applies to all your samples. So what Tally has done, I'll stop share and go to our Tally. When it generated this out of April payments, it selected 2 sample vouchers. It basically told you that these 2 vouchers are not as per the sample. These 2 vouchers are not following the Benford's law. That is the point. So this is how you create a sampling out of it. That is Benford's analysis. So it's absolutely fantastic. RSF, relative size factor, and Benford analysis, both are used to identify indications of fraud. That is. Then debtors aging. Okay, I'll just do it in Tally. Display. Here it is. So here, okay, I've done fast, sorry. So on gateway of Tally, go to display. On display, go to statement of accounts. On statement of accounts, go to outstanding, receivables, and then here you can define, you can add columns and define the dues like that. Aging, it is here like this, F6. So you can define the period, age by date or due date, you can define like that.
सर एक बार वो बेनफोर्ड लॉ का प्रोसेस स्टेप से एक बार फिर से दिखा दीजिए.
अच्छा, Benford law. Okay.
So audit and
so
analysis.
We are doing it in Tally. So on gateway of Tally, go to audit and compliance. From audit and compliance to audit and analysis. From audit and analysis, you go to vouchers. It is showing sampled. Okay. So let us do a different one. Benford analysis for receipt. So select the type of voucher, press space. As you press space, if you look to the right side of the screen, there is Alt S, sampling config. Click on that. It shows you how you want to generate. So by range, by Benford, see, and this is statistical Benford, so it takes care of SF530 also. So this is absolutely fantastic. Okay. So then the next feature, if there is a query, then we will be in the last part. Okay. Deepak.
Yes, sir.
We want to see these 2 vouchers.
हाँ सर, एक बार इससे एक स्क्रीन से एक बार पीछे आ जाइए. हाँ, और ये आप यहाँ पे स्क्रॉल करेंगे 35 पे. हाँ, इस पे एंटर कीजिए.
I am on 35.
नहीं सर, अभी आपको राइट में मूव करना पड़ेगा.
अच्छा.
Yes, now enter. Now you'll be able to see 35 vouchers.
Yeah. These are the selected vouchers.
Yes.
See, okay, let us do it. Let us see how the highest value of Benford vouchers are. 8, 8, 8, 8. So virtually 8. So it has selected all those samples with starting with 8. Virtually all those are there. So the same you can do for others also. And now, so we'll be in the last part. If there is any query till show status we have done. Random sampling, okay, that is done. Okay, yes. Now the last part is doing online audit. So sometime back, this I preserve for the last section only. Sometime back, we had a client in Ghana. So we were able to do audit for the client in Ghana itself. So we will be able to log to its system there. So we did it through a feature of Tally, which Tally has improved a lot. So this is a phenomenal feature in Tally. I'll just share the basic how you enable it. Okay. So on gateway of Tally, go to company info. On company info, go to security controls. Now see, if your Tally is not updated, probably you'll get 3 options. Now because this one is updated, I am getting 4. So I have to create a email account through which I can access. And now I can create users. So all these specialized users can have browser access. Browser access means from Tally company's website, you can log in there. So you create these users here and they can log in from Tally company's websites. So if my system is on, connected, I can directly log on to that system and view from Tally company's browser. So that means if I can access it from browser, I can access it from any location. How I connect my company, that I'll show. So what you have to do, you have to create email ID for browser access. That is first step. How you reach here? From gateway of Tally, company info, from company info, security controls, security and user access, create a email for access, browser access, then create users for browser access, give their security level. Once you have done this, go to gateway of Tally and look to F4 key on right side of my screen. So what I have to basically do, I have to connect this company to Tally server. Let me press F4, see what happens. Now see, as I pressed F4, now it is showing disconnect means my company is connected. And if you can see against the name, it is showing C. That means now my company is available for browser access. So to the individual whom I have given that browser password, he will go to Tally Solutions. There is a login mechanism there. From there, he can directly access my company. So that allows it to be accessed from any location. So this whole idea about capability of doing remote audit. So we are all working from home. We need not go to the client location. You can directly access and it's reasonably secure. So that is how you can do a online access. So once the job is done, then I'll disconnect the company like this.
Sir, we can show that while selecting company in the select menu, there is an option to log in the remote company. So on the other end of the computer, user can select that remote login.
Yes, yes. That I'll
it is
show.
not,
Yes.
And it is not necessary to have license over there.
Okay. Yeah, Rajesh ji, negative, you take the first positive variance and then take the negative variance. So ideally we need to take both. Rajesh ji, see, positive variance means the expected value is say for 8 as highest is say 1%. So positive means it is coming more than that. Negative variance is the expected one being highest is 30%, but it is only coming as 10%. So that is positive variance and negative. So you have to take both like that. Then, yeah, so one more way of remotely doing. Yeah, Deepak.
There is one more question related to this by Pradeep Kumar P. How to select Benford sampling for whole data? Yeah, from whole data.
Okay.
So
So
the way
that can
you
be
have
done all
shown,
vouchers.
yeah. So by pressing Control space, you can select all the vouchers at once, and you can select the sampling method as Benford.
Yes. Let us. Yeah, Deepak.
So here you can press enter, and you can press now Control space,
Yeah, I've
so
done
that
that.
you can select all the vouchers.
Control space, na?
Yes. Or at the bottom, you can hit the button select all.
It's here.
Ah,
So it has selected all. And
all.
then sampling
Now
config,
sampling
we can do
configuration.
Benford.
Benford.
So all vouchers are there. Yes. So this much we had time. We will have some queries. So please share your queries. Ajay, yeah. So that is a shortcoming. So of remote audit, see, Ajay, you have put a very good question. See, when we used to do that audit for the Ghana-based company, so what I asked them that at the end of the month they will mail us all the vouchers in PDF, and then we will audit on those PDF. So all supportings were always, in fact, now in just taking example from bank, all banks concurrent auditors are doing online because all documents are now being done in an online mode. So that thing is already coming up. So remote audit, you ask your client to send or important documents based on this selection, you can ask them to tell you the critical vouchers, identified vouchers, you can always ask them. And there was one last way of doing this remote access. It is through here. You can log in as a remote user. So let me log in. I had a Tally server in my office. If the license key is working, I had already created. So if the license key was there, it will show, okay, license key has expired. So it is showing this message. It would have shown the Tally companies in my office server. I'm working from home right now. So that is for today.
Sir, there's one question asked by Santosh M. Riker. In case of statutory payment, client makes entries in Tally as it wants not the Tally expects to do. In this case, how to do analysis in Tally regarding statutory payment for tax audit purpose?
In case. Yes, yes. Sir. So see, what good. So this question is by Santosh. Santosh, it's a very good question. See, the point is, Tally is providing a support. Now, as an auditor, what we're basically looking at that whether those entries are properly appearing or not in Tally. If a payment has not been entered correctly, then that gap will be there. So this validation has to be done within the Tally itself, the accountant itself, and based on the reports that we are able to generate through Tally itself.
Just to add on to this, sir, Tally has now a triangulation report related to all the statutory modules, like for GST, for TDS. So when you're looking to any GST reports or TDS reports, it will identify the irrelevant vouchers or which are not made as per the format, and it will show that this is uncertain vouchers, and you can figure out them and you can make corrections accordingly into that.
Great. So triangulation is validating the taxation data, the data on tax website in Tally in the accounting system.
Mr.
Krishnan ji, I just
Vilas.
shared. So Tally server in office is the company that we use, that we connect and then start using it the way I showed you right now.
Mr. Vilasrao K has asked a question: how to interpret result of Benford analysis?
Oh, so I have got one more session after 1 hour. So I will let me just stop share. I'll then share the case, and then probably we may close it. So let me bring the Benford. Okay. Okay. So this is there, and then you can keep this with yourself. I'll tell you how it was. So there is the case that I wanted to share for Benford. So sometime back, I used to live in Bombay. I used to stay in Andheri West. There's a location called as Amboli. Now see, Bombay, Andheri West rail local station, when you come out, that time when I used to say some 10, 15 years back, there was a McDonald's on the left side of the station. Now you have McDonald's on both sides. So the left and right, both sides you have McDonald's in Mumbai. So I'm sharing a case. The case is real, but few examples I have created. Okay, some things I have changed. So to the left McDonald's, when you get out of the Andheri station, the original the first McDonald's, some 2-3 shops after, there's a restaurant. So I used to have my breakfast, lunch in the restaurant. So that it's a very Andheri West railway station. It's known to all like that. The owner of the restaurant, some time back, he felt that the business is there, but the business is not reflected in the amount of cash being collected. So he was suspicious about some things. So he contacted a chartered accountant fraud investigator and brought his anxiety to that fraud investigator that I feel there is something fishy. So that CA, he did some analysis, something, and then he asked the owner, please provide me daily sales collection data for previous 3 years. So the CA requested the owner to get the daily sales collection data for previous 3 years. So that data was made available there. The query was, the Excel sheet was date and collection. Only 2 columns in the Excel sheet, the date and amount collected. And 365 days, that restaurant is open for 365 days, only closed first Monday of the month. So virtually 1100, 1200 line items were there. To this 1200 line items, that CA fraud investigator applied Benford law. Now, when he applied Benford law, there were a lot of positive and negative variances. Means the cash collection was not falling in line with Benford's parameter, Benford's law. So this, when it was not tallying, so this fraud investigator told the owner that I want some time. I want some more time to review, do it. So the owner said, okay. Now within this time, the fraud investigator, he went for lunch. Now the how you got the lunch served there was, it was a limited thali. You have to go to the cash counter, give 100 rupees that time, 15 years back. So the manager at the cash counter, he will give you a slip, those paper roll slips, 1 square inch, 2 copies he used to give. 1 copy you give to the waiter, he will take it to the kitchen, bring you limited thali, and 1 is your expenditure proof. So this is how that business was done. Then some time back, the fraud investigator, he sent his article clerk to the same restaurant. And then the article clerk also went, took his lunch, and then came back. Now, what I'm sharing with you, I'm sharing the 2 receipts those 2 people got. I'll just take a minute to create those receipts. You tell me what is the trouble. I'll just do that in a moment. So when they look to the receipt number, they got some suspicious. Just let us see what it is. I'm typing it. So I can share screen type. Okay, I'll just do that. So suppose today the fraud investigator, he has gone for lunch, and 7 days after he going for lunch, he sent his article clerk. Now I have created those receipts. I'll be just sharing those receipts with you. 2 sets. One set is yellow, the other set is light colored, and the receipt numbers have been made red colored for easy identification. So receipt numbers are red colored. Okay. Now I'm sharing this screen. So you tell me what is the trouble. My Excel is here. Is my Excel visible?
Yes, sir, visible.
Okay, great. Now I want participant to, these are the 2 receipts generated 7 days after. This is 3rd of October and this is 10th of October. What is the error in this? Yes, same number. So as soon as the fraud investigator saw the same receipt number, he immediately called the owner and asked the owner that please call the vendor of the machine. You must have seen those point of sale terminal machines. It has a keypad, numeric pad, and a roller on which the receipt is printed. I had the pleasure of using those machines myself somewhere in my life. So he called the vendor of the machine, the owner of the restaurant, and the fraud investigator. They met at a third place. And now the fraud investigator is talking to the vendor of the machine. He showed the receipts to the vendor. Is this possible? 7 days gap and you have same receipt number. So the vendor of the machine said, sir, this is not possible. It is impossible. But there is only one case. The case is, see, if you have used those machines, there is a concept of reset of invoice number. You can reset invoice number. So whatever number you want to start printing again, it will start printing from that number. So if you have done a reset and by mistake you have taken the old series, the duplicate is possible. But then reset cannot be done by the manager. It can only be done by the owner. So owner said, I have not done the reset. When the owner said the reset was not done by me, immediately a decision was taken. The manager was sent on 7 days leave from next day morning. The restaurant opens 7 a.m. in the morning. 7 a.m. all people were there, the vendor, the owner, and the fraud investigator. They were on the machine. As soon as the first bill was generated, 7:05, 7:10 a.m., the error was found. Now I'll show you the error. There's a command on my keyboard, Alt Tab. What happens if I do Alt Tab? What will happen if I press Alt Tab? It changes my window. So right now you are looking at Excel. I can Alt Tab to Tally. I can Alt Tab to PowerPoint. So what was happening? The manager, what he had done, he had created exact copy of the charge slip in Excel that was generated from the software. So software charge slip was copied in Excel. Whenever he saw someone who was new, see in Bombay or Mumbai today, Mumbai, the way you walk on the road, the way you talk, people can interpret how much localite you are. In any city, like with Bombay, it is more specific because I was there. So whenever manager saw someone very new coming, what he do? He pressed Alt Tab and generated the invoice, not from the machine, but from Excel. And just looking at the invoice, no one can question the validity. He used a very simple command in Excel, today. So date will change. In fact, I can print time also. So date and time can be printed. Invoice number remains the same. So this is how the fraud was caught. And someone asked what to do. Benford analysis gives an indication of some error, some additional checks to be done. So that is how it is. So I need to thank you for this session. I need to thank Tally, Deepak. They have been great support and learning is always there. So it has so much. So even after this session and Deepak helping us out, there'll be something more to add, more to learn. So kindly and thanks for being there. You have been great participant and you have put many queries. We presume all have been answered. If any query is unanswered, Deepak is well equipped to answer it. If anything that comes to me as scope, I'll just share as a last part of this. You can mail me. Deepak number is also there. Mine is there. My preference is you send first to Deepak. Else, if it relates to anything regarding profession, you can always ping me. Thank you. We had a great discussion. Deepak, it's to you.
Thank you very much, sir, for this great, insightful session on Tally and the perspective of auditor looking to the Tally. This is really an eye-opener session for me, and I hope so for the attendees as well, because you never thought and you never think about how to look at the perspective of an auditor to the Tally. So this is definitely going to be a very great informative session.